In this video, we will see a demo of the full club management software system. InCharge Life has developed a comprehensive club management system that integrates all of the necessary features to run your club, including many new features for potential new revenue streams that you can add to your club. To begin with, the software is tabular based, so you can have it on one screen with multiple tabs open, or 7 screens with individual tabs or a variation of tabs open for easy and quick navigation. It is cloud-based, so any computer with internet access, you can access the software from anywhere in the world. So if your facility currently has 3 computers and you grow and expand to 7 or 8 computers, there's no difference in the way the software will function. It will be completely seamless and simple to use. We'll begin by looking at the menu. The menu on the left currently is we are logged in as a full administrator. That gives us access to all of the components of the software. Logging in as front desk or trainer or manager will reduce the menu to just the features that are accessible by those particular staff members. Let's walk through the typical client cycle. We'll start with the check-in page. The client check-in page should be kept active on one computer at all times. That way your barcode field is always active, so any client that scans in will immediately be loaded into the system. On the left is the current clients checking in. We can see their status at a glance, their name, their hidden barcode ID, which is used as kind of a signature in the system. How this works is if this client were booked in for a personal training session or a group class, within 2 hours of this check-in period, the software would recognize that they're booked in on the calendar for that session, and they've checked in using their barcode, which only they know, and then it would then mark that session as having been attended or completed. That process happens automatically. If the client doesn't have their barcode and they are looked up by name and then loaded into the system, the sessions will not deduct, seeing as anybody could load the client by name. So in that case, it would be up to the trainer to ensure the client signs off as that having completed a session. Below the hidden barcode is the client's agreements that they have in the system, including when they end. You can also see their basic contact information, any trainers or staff that are associated with this client. There's a link to their client summary page where you can see more details about the client. And then down below is their personal check-in history. Over on the right is their last 3 notes, plus a link to view all of their notes or be able to add more notes for this particular client, including the ability to flag those notes. On the right is their image. On the full right side of the page is the check-in history for the entire club. Here you can view anywhere between 1 and up to as many as 900 check-ins. If you've missed a client, you can simply click on their name here, and it will load them on the left and play a chime. So in this case, this client owes money, so it gives a bright red background, shows how much they owe, and also that their credit card is expiring, and in this case they happen to be in collections. The red color will immediately draw your staff's attention to the fact that there's an issue going on that needs to be addressed. Some other examples of statuses are a client that's frozen. Here we can see a client. It's a much softer color and a softer chime. And we can see that this client is frozen, so they should not be accessing the facility. In the case of a client that doesn't have an active agreement, again, softer color, but the status does draw your staff's attention to it. You'll also see if a client has a flagged note. Flagged notes will display with a green background color and have the flagged note up at the top. If the client happens to be part of a group, it will also show group details. That's the check-in screen. Next, we'll move on to the point of sale. On the point of sale system, you can look clients up in very similar to the check-in screen. You can scan their barcode, or you can type in any part of their first or last name, wait for the system to populate the list of clients that fall into that, and then simply click on their name and click Load Client. This will then load the current client over on the right. If they owe money, that would also display under their current client details. Down below is the current invoice, which starts out blank. Now there's three things that must happen in order to complete a transaction in the point of sale. First, you must have a client loaded. Second, every staff member will have their own PIN code that must be entered for every transaction. When the PIN code is entered, that will record the staff's name on the current invoice so you know who completed the transaction. The client can be loaded or the PIN code can be entered in any order. Next, you'll want to determine what it is that you're doing for this client. So let's say this client was just buying a water today. You would simply click on Products, which brings up your subcategory for products. Click on Water, and then you've got your options for what waters you sell. If they're buying a 1 liter water, you click that and it adds it to the current invoice. That's all there is to adding a product. If you record the barcodes in the system, you can simply scan the product and it will immediately load without having to do the search. If that's all the client's buying and they're paying by cash, you simply click on the cash button, and then that will allow you to now complete the transaction. To complete the transaction, you simply click Record Payment. The system will then record that payment and open an invoice that is either printable, or you can email it to the client, or they can simply access this invoice by logging into their profile, and then that way they can print it or keep track of it at home as well. When the staff's done, they simply close that tab and it returns them to the point of sale, where they're now ready to complete their next transaction. Now let's look in the case of a client that wanted to make a prepayment on an agreement. Again, we'll look up a client by name, click on the client and load them. And now let's say this client wants to make a prepayment on one of his agreements. You simply click Agreements. It loads up what agreements they currently have in the system. So if he wants to make a prepayment on his 1-year monthly agreement, simply clicking on it will load his next payment into the current invoice. This means that on the due date for his next 1-year monthly payment, it would have already been paid by this POS transaction. From there, the transaction is completed in the exact same way. If he's paying by Visa, you simply click Visa and you can record the payment after entering the staff PIN code. In this case, let's say the client wanted to split the payment and they want to pay $25 on their Visa. You simply enter the 25 and click Tab, and then the button will show what the balance owing is. You simply enter the balance owing in on the other payment method they want to use, tab off, and then once the amounts match, you can record the payment. If we try and record the payment without a PIN code, the system will come up with a warning saying there must be a sold by or PIN code entered to complete the transaction. You simply click OK, everything is still saved here, then type in the staff's PIN, records the staff's name on the sale, and now they can complete the transaction. If this was selling personal training or something that you want to track who actually sold the product, or the service, or the sessions, you could simply select their name from the Sold By dropdown, and then that will record that on the invoice. Next, let's take a look at the calendar features. The calendar is broken out by the session view, which is personal training sessions, anything that is one-on-one with one trainer or instructor and one client, and the group fitness view, which is group personal training or group classes. To begin with, under the session view, to add a new session, you simply click on the time that you want to add it. So let's say we're adding a session at 3 p.m. for Sean. Click on that. You would then simply choose the user from the dropdown, the type of item or session that they're going to be completing, and then as you go, you can scroll down see the session status, which as an administrator you could change to a different status, but as a trainer front desk, the status must remain as booked. As an admin, you can see what the trainer is going to earn for that particular session if you filled that out when you've made or created these session types. You can also choose to repeat the session type, and then once you're done, you simply save it, and it will then be added to the calendar. Once it's added, all the sessions go in with a status of booked. And again, as mentioned before, If the client were to come in and check into the facility within 2 hours of a booked session, it will then change the status to be completed, which will change the outline color from blue to green. Now in the case of the group fitness calendar, this will show all of your group fitness classes. Here, they're broken out by facility. So we can see the group fitness room, personal training studio, studio cycle room, and squash and tennis courts as well. When you're creating your group classes, you can set a max number of participants per class. To add participants, they can either book online if you've chosen to allow them access to that, or else staff can simply click on the participants. It will take them to the participants page. They simply select the client's name, click Add Participant, and it will then add them to the class. The green status shows that they have sessions available to attend that class. The red status would mean they're either out of sessions or never had sessions to begin with. You can then simply return to the calendar, and we can now see that this class has been updated to show 2 participants. Next, let's look at how we would sell an agreement or a membership to a client. So under the Manage Staff and Clients, we're going to go to the Client Management page, which gives you all of the features that you will typically use when working with clients. This page will default to your check-in history, because typically when you're dealing with clients is right after they've checked in. So it will mimic that check-in history. So let's say Damien has come in today and he wants to purchase an agreement. You simply click on the shortcuts, and this gives you the ability to jump to various parts of Damien's profile. You can do things like access his full profile, edit his user where you can update his billing information, sell him an agreement, view his invoices and invoice history, view projections for that client going forward in time, view their session tracking or their check-in history, also view all of their notes, journal entries the client has made, go to the admin calendar to book sessions, go to the client's calendar where you can see what they've booked into personally, and then access their body comp, resistance, cardio, and nutrition components of their profile. So if we're going to be selling Damien an agreement, we're going to click on Agreements. That will now take us to the agreement page. Now in this case, we can see that the client actually has a couple of active agreements already. For the sake of argument, we'll ignore that and we're going to sell him a new agreement today. So we're going to sell him a 1-year monthly auto-renewing agreement. These are just sample agreement types. In the software, you can create any different type of agreement you want with any different type of payment method you want. So with the 1-year monthly auto-renew, the start date for the agreement will be today, and his payment start date, let's say, will be the 15th of the month. If you do your payments on the 1st and 15th, and let's say the client actually then requested to start his payments on the 1st of the month instead, you would simply click the 1st of the next month, and then you're set to go. The responsible for payment always defaults to be the client's name, but can be updated with anybody else. Once again, staff need to enter their own PIN code so that you know who has completed this sale. You now click Add New Client Agreement, and it will generate the agreement itself. So here we have the basic agreement details. It's a monthly payment, it's a 12-month term, and it is auto-renewing. There are no packages associated with this agreement. You can see the agreement start date, when it was created, and who it was created by, as well as the payment start date and when the agreement would end. Now, because this is auto-renewing, all that means is the contract period would end and no cancellation fee would apply beyond that date. Again, the cancellation fee is an option that you can choose to set or not. So down below we have, again, the responsible for payment, and being an existing client, you could choose any stored payment method they have on file, or you could add a new credit card or new checking information, which is then automatically uploaded into the system and sent securely to the payment processor. At that point, it is hidden from the system, so you have no financial liability. Next, we can see what their agreement dues are. This field is currently editable, but you can set as a master preference whether you want any of the financial fields in the agreements to be editable by staff or not. Administrators will always be able to edit the fields, but front desk or sales staff will only be able to edit the fields you choose to allow them to edit. The software will also calculate out what the prorate fee is. So in this case, we can see it's calculated out a prorate of $44.35. And that's because today being January 8th, and them not making their first payment till February 1st, it's close to a full month, so the prorate is determined based on that value. By default, there's no admin fee for this agreement, and again, you can set your default admin, card, and cancellation fees to whatever you'd like. There's a card fee of $15, and it shows that there will be a cancellation fee in this case of $100 if this agreement were to be canceled prior to the end date. What would happen is an invoice would automatically be generated and applied to that client for the $100. You can create up to 2 annual fees for each agreement that can be charged on specific days of the year, or if they're left blank, it will charge on the anniversary date of the agreement. We'll also show what taxes are going to apply and if there's any unlimited sessions that are included with this agreement. You can apply credits or freezes to the agreements very simply as well. Once the agreement's set up, the staff will simply confirm the details down below. And once that's confirmed, they can click Add Text to create the digital contract itself. What we have is just a sample of the digital contract. You can create any digital contract you want from scratch, or use one of our templates. What it will do is it will simply import the client's contact information, plus import the payment information from up above into what is in essence a Word document. Once you allow the client to read through it, or you can preview it and print it if you want to give them a printed copy to read through, you can then choose to capture their signature right online. Clicking Capture Signature will then open a signature field where they can sign with a mouse or a signature pad or on a touch screen. By saving that, it will then return to the agreement page and has now inserted their signature digitally into the agreement and as part of their profile. You now have a legally binding document. From there, once you're done, once again, if you choose to use paper, you can preview and then print this agreement right through your browser. But ideally, the system is designed to be paper-free, so there's no need to print anything. Once you've captured the signature digitally, you simply click Save, and then the software will open a new tab with their current invoice. In this case, they're being invoiced for their card fee and their prorate fee today, and it shows the total amount owing. As you scroll down on that invoice, there's a mini point of sale system right on each individual invoice to make it very simple. So if they were paying by Interact for this full amount, you could simply click that and add the payment to the invoice. But optionally, let's say you wanted to allow this client to make this initial payment over 2 months, starting also on February 1st. You can then very easily add a payment plan to the invoice. You simply click on the Add Payment Plan, and it shows the total amount of the invoice in this case, or if part of it had already been paid, it would show what the balance remaining was. We're going to do a monthly payment plan, and we're going to start that on February 1st. We're going to do that over 2 payments. You could also do it over a fixed payment amount if you chose. Then you can add a stored payment method in case it's something different from what they have on file. You can also choose to have specific wording that you use for these agreements so that you're getting a binding agreement from the client. You now add the payments, and we'll add the 2 payments onto the bottom of the invoice. So now, on February 1st and March 1st, these payments will automatically be sent to the processor to process, and the response will come back and be updated in the system automatically. You can also choose to capture a client signature right on the invoice, saying that they're agreeing to these payments. When you're done, you simply close the Invoice Details tab, and you're right back to the client's agreements. Clicking Save one more time will take you back to the client's main agreement page where you can see we now have an active agreement in the system. You now simply click Exit the profile to return to your main admin page. But while we're on this client's profile, let's look at a few of the features here. So here you can see where the client can access their agreements. They can view any of their invoice history. They can go to the virtual store where they can buy anything that you choose to sell online. They can view their session tracking and their personal calendar, as well as their fitness summary and email history. They can make journal entries and view their user agreement for the software. There are also health screening components where clients can do their health screening right online, as well as a full range of fitness assessments which you can choose to turn on or off. In this case, there's only one active, but there's up to 7 or 8 fitness assessments in the software you can choose to do. So if we exit this client's profile, and we go to one of our main guys that has access to everything, we can see the full range of fitness assessments. Body comp, cardio assessment, strength, flexibility, functional, digital posture, medical analysis, and before and after photos can all be uploaded in the software. As well, clients can set up their goals and preferences, everything from their experience and goals to their weight loss goals. So here we can see an example of a male client and their weight loss goals, what their current body fat percentage is. They choose a visual picture of what they want to look like, and then it will update their weight for a goal. Then they can choose how they want to go about achieving that and what their expected timeline to get there would be. Also under goals and preferences, you can set up their resistance training preferences and what exercises they maybe don't want to do or equipment they have access to, as well as cardio and nutritional preferences, and also their schedule preferences. Under resistance training, you can build complete resistance training programs for clients. You can go in and add new programs and have the software build suggested programs that are not templates, but 100% customized programs built based on the client's experience level, their schedule, and a whole bunch of other parameters that are all factored into the algorithms. What's nice is once the program is developed, you can also then allow the client access to a mobile device where they can track it. So they can log in from their mobile device through the workout walkthrough and be able to see their entire workout and get a walkthrough with pictures and videos of their exercises, and also be able to record their weight and reps. There's also a full range of training, cardio training that can be done in the program, and complete nutritional systems. So in this case, if we access the client's nutritional program, we can see that a program hasn't been created yet, and the system's letting us know that you have resistance training and cardio scheduled, but don't have any workouts planned yet for the current week. We're going to ignore those warnings for now and go through, and we're going to do a suggested program. The Suggest My Week feature is basically working like, from the client's perspective, I don't want to think about it, just tell me what to do. In this case, it's going to look at all of the client's preferences, their lean mass value, what their activity is throughout the week, and what their schedule is like, and it's going to build a 100% customized nutrition program. So we can see it took about 20 seconds to develop that program. Here it will also display Canada Food Guide or Food Pyramid totals as well. It'll show what their goals are and their macronutrient goals. Then it'll show all the various foods that have been suggested for them throughout the course of the day, as well as how much water they should be drinking. We can see it gets very close to their target number of macronutrients. They're actually within 15 calories total, within 1 gram of fat, within 2 grams of carbs, and within 1 gram of protein from what is considered ideal at a 60-20-20 split. 60% carbs, 20% fat, 20% protein. Those macronutrient goals can be adjusted as well or customized for the client. You can also do things like have grocery lists that are printable. So this will create an entire week worth of groceries, or you can modify the grocery list to just be for certain days of the week. And you can also do a full micronutrient analysis, which will give a complete breakdown of all their macronutrients, plus vitamins, minerals, and essential amino acids, based on their recommended intake, what their actual intake is, and then what percentage of that they're achieving. You can see that using the Suggest feature gets them at least 100% of everything, with the exception of vitamin E, which is almost impossible to get enough of from real food. Clients also have access to their progress tracking, so they can view things like their measurement tracking and see graphs of how they're doing in their progress. Also, they can track fitness assessments, nutritional, medical, and whether they're involved in a competition. So now when we exit this client's profile, this will take us back to our admin pages. So here we'll just quickly review some of the admin features to create some of the background items. So under settings and tools, for example, you can go in and set up your master preferences, where you would set things like your menu coloring, fitness assessment, default exercises, and various other configuration settings for what modules clients have access to by default. Also in here is where you can create your agreement wording. So here we have a few different sample agreements. We click Edit to make it active, and now you can see how it's created very similar to a Word document, just using fields that are entered over on the right by simply clicking the button, and then that would enter the field into the document. Those fields are then automatically updated when they're sold to a client in the form of an agreement. Once you've got the agreement wording created, you can go to the agreements themselves, where now you can create any different type of agreement that you want. So here are just a few examples. There's everything from paid in full agreements to monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, quarterly, annually, any different type of agreement that you want. And you can set any default parameters as well. So if we click Edit on this sample agreement, we can see the name of the agreement, whether to apply a discount on this agreement, so that in that case, if you have a client that, let's say, is buying a corporate agreement and they get 10% off, the corporate agreement would have this button checked, and then when you create the items under your billing system that you want to offer the discount for, you put in what that discount value is, and it will automatically apply it on the point of sale. You can choose what your payment type is, what the duration of the agreement is, and then all your default amounts and dates. Plus whether you want it to display in the virtual store, and here's where you can choose as to what fields are locked, so the staff would not be able to edit it. Every agreement in the system has its own payment processing link, so you can sell these agreements right online through your website, and anybody purchasing them will be prompted to enter their contact information and billing information and then be added automatically as a new client in your system. You can choose what agreement wording is going to be associated with this agreement, and if there's any unlimited sessions associated with it as well. You can also choose to inactivate an agreement, which will simply move it to the bottom of the list and make it no longer selectable for your staff to sell to clients. Some of the other admin features that you have access to are things like under the advanced features, there's a fully automated email system where you can set up emails to go out based on a plethora of different criteria. Everything from clients' birthdays to running low on sessions to agreement start dates or end dates, any different criteria that you want. Under the billing system, here's where you create your list of products, services, and sessions. Many of these can be imported from your existing current software. It allows you to create everything, including attaching barcodes, setting reorder points, and various other features. Once you've got the individual items, you can go to the package builder and create combinations of those items in any type of package that you want. So let's look at a silver package that we've created, for example. Here, it includes personal training, fitness assessments, towel service, nutritional consults, and access to the nutrition system online, as well as various other features. We can see the total price for this package. Now when a client purchases this package, all the individual items will be assigned to their profile automatically, and everything will be updated accordingly. The packages also have payment processing links associated with them, so you can also sell those online as well. There is a full competition module in the software as well. This will allow you to create competitions where you can do something like a weight loss or inches lost challenge. Here you can select what clients are involved in the challenge, or that can be selected directly from them purchasing a package associated with that competition, which would then automatically enter them as a client in the competition. Then you can set what criteria is going to be tracked and the date range for the competition. Then what will happen is any client that's involved in that competition that does a body composition, in this case, in the date range, it will automatically track what their results are. So you can see a graph of their results as well as their tracking with their current overall rank and the values for how they're doing in the competition. You can also choose to make competitions private, in which case clients would only be able to see their own name and every other name that would be labeled as private, but they could still see how they're doing relative to other people involved. Most of the other features in the admin menu are all various types of reports. We have a good amount of reports in the system that are very simple to use, but the nice thing about reporting is if there's anything in the software that is a report that is missing from what you want, you can simply tell us the parameters of what you want and we can generate the report for you. If it's a report that's going to be used commonly, we could add the report into the system so it's available for everybody to use. And that's an overview of the InCharge Life club management software system.